Week 3 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few running backs I looked at with the wire this week. The first guy, Matt Breida of the New York Giants. We saw Saquon Barkley go down late in that ball game and a great comeback for the New York Giants, tweaking the ankle and then on the sideline throwing his helmet. So obviously something was up. Matt Breida, we know he's been a capable backup and a starter at times, obviously in the San Francisco 49ers days a few years ago. So right now we know Barkley's an explosive running back, but also a lot of injuries throughout his career for the most part. So right now, Matt Breida, if something serious with Barkley, obviously he'll be the number one target on the waiver wire, but we got to wait and see if the news comes out on Saquon. So Breida, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. They're going to use him different ways, I believe, is this New York Giant team. But also, they got another youngster, Eric Gray, over there as well. So right now, we're going to wait and see what the thing is here with Barkley. But obviously, he was on the sidelines throwing his helmet, and it's not a great sign when you see that. If it's a sprain, if it's a ligament problem, don't know. So we got to wait and see what happens with Saquon Barkley. But like I said, he was taken off the field, throwing his helmet. And if he's out for an extended period of time or even a couple weeks here, Breida is a top pickup because this week the wire isn't that great at the running back position. And he's a running back that many people could get, available in 99% of fantasy leagues. The next running back's Craig Reynolds of the Detroit Lions. The only reason Reynolds could be a guy to add off the wire, David Montgomery off the ball game would get to get carted off back to the locker room after he was coming off a good ball game. I know Jahmyr Gibbs is there, but I'm convinced they don't want to give Jahmyr Gibbs a ton of work early in the season. So it's going to be either a split or more 60-40 type of thing. So if David Montgomery misses any time, Craig Reynolds, he's available, like I mentioned, in 100% of fantasy leagues. And he came in the fourth quarter pretty much in that ball game. 3 rushes, 7 yards, a catch, -2 yards. And we know Reynolds last season, he had some playing time with this Detroit Lion team when DeAndre Swift was down with injury at parts of the season. But right now, with Montgomery out, Reynolds is going to work his way into a role if he's out for an extended period of time. But definitely a running back to keep an eye on this week. The next running back I looked at off the wire is Justice Hill, the Baltimore Ravens. So Justice Hill last week, one of the top pickups on the wire after obviously J.K. Dobbins went down with the season-ending Achilles injury. In the first couple weeks, Hill's been serviceable. Week 1 versus Houston, 8 carries, 9 rush yards, 2 goal line touchdowns in that one. And then week 2 at Cincinnati, it pretty much was almost a 50-50 split between him and Gus Edwards. Edwards actually only had 10 carries to the 11 for 41 yards and 3 catches for 12 yards. So right now over there in the backfield, I don't think we're going to get much out of the backfield over there in Baltimore, but obviously they got to run the ball and stay honest. So they're going to pretty much go with Gus Edwards as the 2 down back and Justice Hill, they change your pace and 3rd down back where he's a better receiver out of the backfield. So right now, if you're looking for some running back help and depth, he's available right now is Justice Hill in 56% of fantasy leagues. Next running back, Zach Moss of the Indianapolis Colts. So Zach Moss, he came in here week 2 as a starter, and he had a good ball game, no doubt about it. 18 carries, 88 rush yards, a touchdown, 4 catches for 19 yards. So Moss, it was a good matchup. Obviously, Texans. It's a tough one in week 3 of Baltimore. But all starting running backs obviously got to be owned, I believe, in fantasy football. So right now, like I said, not many intriguing options on the waiver wire. But if there's a starter out there like a Zach Moss available in 47% of fantasy leagues, a guy who could be a fringe 2 flex option until Jonathan Taylor comes back. Running back I would add this week, the next RB's Ty Chandler of the Minnesota Vikings. Alexander Madison, the first couple weeks, we haven't seen much out of him. At 1, bailed out with a touchdown. In week 2, a pedestrian ball game where he had a couple garbage time catches towards the end. So right now, Ty Chandler, as a handcuff type of player, I think looking at as a fantasy option. I know the first 2 games, he didn't get much run. Week 1, 3 carries, no yards, a catch, 18 yards. And week 2 with Philly at that one, which is 9 yards and only 1 rush. So right now, Madison's been the main man over there in the backfield. But right now, Minnesota 0-2. And maybe they do make a change over there in the backfield sooner than later. Because like I said, Ty Chandler coming into the season, a lot of people thought he could eat into Madison's workload or take over as a starter as the year goes on. So right now with Madison struggling and the Vikings 0-2, there definitely could be a change with Chandler working a little bit more into the ball games. And right now he's available in 95% of fantasy league. Final running back I have as an ad this week here off the Warriors, Jerome Ford of the Cleveland Browns. I know the Browns haven't played yet, but going off the week 1 workload, this guy got 15 carries for 36 yards and a fumble loss. So we saw the last couple seasons, it was Chubb and Kareem Hunt as the 1-2 punch over there, where Hunt obviously got 10 to 15 touches per ball game. And I could see a little bit more of the same here for Jerome Ford this season. So right now, available 90% of fantasy leagues. I know he's more of a deeper league ad, but 15 carries in a ball game is nothing to sneeze at, because that ball game, I know, wasn't close by the end of it, obviously, between Cincinnati and Cleveland in week 1. But like I said, we saw with Kareem Hunt for seasons over there in Cleveland. And I think Jerome Ford could carve out anywhere from 8 to 12 touches per game for this Cleveland Brown team. And I got to keep an eye on the wire. So right now, I know it was underwhelming this week on the waiver wire, but maybe some of those players can help you. So that's a few running backs I looked at off the wire in week 3 of the fantasy football season.